After watching that Cleveland game, watching them lose to Mavericks, I think it's only right we watch First Take talk about LeBron James, what he has to say about Charles Barkley. I want to see it personally. I want to see it because Charles Barkley says some shit, man. He says some shit. He talks some shit. But I agree with Charles Barkley. I agree with him. I mean, yeah, sometimes you just gotta stop complaining. Take every game as it comes. Just keep getting better each game. Stop asking for help. Deal with what you have. Just like what Tristan Thompson said. He needs to stop complaining and deal with what he has. Use what squad he has. Damn. You know what I mean? If you're a real championship, if you're a real champion, or the GOAT, whatever, close this. Use this. Okay, I'm trying to get some real philosophy shit right there, but anyway, let's see what they say.
Let's do it, gentlemen. We tip things off with the latest on the King James Sir Charles trash talk. Here's Barkley last week reacting to LeBron publicly stating the Cavs need another playmaker.
LeBron James' comments were blank.
Inappropriate.
This was the video we watched.
Whiny. All the above. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they have given him everything he wanted. They have the highest payroll in NBA history. He wanted J.R. Smith last summer. They paid him. He wanted Shumpert last summer. They bought in Kyle Korver. He's the best player in the world. Does he want all the good players? He don't want to compete. He is an amazing player. But this notion, they're the defending champs. And for him to be trying to hold anything over Dan Gilbert's head, and I love all these wild punk-ass reporters on television who's afraid to call out LeBron. LeBron's a great player and a great guy. It just pisses me off that a guy that great don't want to compete.
All right, so here's where it gets really good. After hearing the TNT analyst call him whiny, James decided he has had enough with Barkley's jabs over the years. James clapped back, telling our Dave McMenamin this, quote, he's a hater. What makes what he says credible because he's on TV? I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said, I'm not a role model. I never showed up to All-Star Weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend partying. All I've done for my entire career is represent the NBA the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble, respected the game, print that. I collect one paycheck from this. There's the owner, Griff's, the GM, I'm the player, screw Charles Barkley.
Wow.
Paging Stephen A.
Wow. That's some
Stephen
heavy
A.,
words,
talk to
man.
me.
LeBron James. That's
Well,
my
this
man.
is bad. There's no question about it. And both sides have points. In the case of Charles Barkley, LeBron James looks very, very wrong because he crossed the line. LeBron James got personal.
Yeah.
Bringing up Vegas, potential debt from Vegas, and bringing up stuff with the kids and throwing somebody through a window and all of that other stuff.
Kind of hit below the belt.
LeBron James was being criticized about something involving basketball, and he definitely went beyond the pale as far as I'm concerned. I think he crossed the line with how personal he got with Charles Barkley. He definitely crossed the line in that regard. You just don't do that. You don't bring up the kind of stuff that
Keep
he
it to
brought up
basketball.
about Charles
Keep the
Barkley
basketball.
just
It's unprofessional when you talk
don't
about something
like
else.
what he's saying about you. That's my initial reaction. But when you dig deeper towards it, you do have to understand if you're Charles Barkley. When you call somebody whiny, when in the past you basically called them a punk, when you question their competitive fervor and what have you, all bets are off in that regard as well, because those people are going to interpret it as you taking personal shots at them, which is why LeBron James brought up the word legacy. And then when you think about what he closed with, Max Kellerman, when he says he's the owner, I'm the player, screw Charles Barkley, he was talking about, quotes about Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, and others in terms of what Barkley was alluding to. Cleveland has given him everything that he's wanted, et cetera, and how LeBron wanted this or LeBron wanted that. When, in fact, Rich Paul, who represents a J.R. Smith, who represents a Tristan Thompson, who's had to fight for those contracts to get those dudes their money, they're looking at it from the standpoint that if LeBron got everything he wanted, he would not have had to complain the way that he's complained periodically over the last 2.5 years that he's basically been back in Cleveland. He's had to complain because he hasn't gotten the things that he wanted. So to imply that he just gets everything that he wants, that he's the one running the show, you know, they took offense to it. So, again, it's one of those situations. I think that LeBron James got a bit too personal.
He got way too personal, in my opinion.
He was wrong for doing that, but at the same time,
you can understand
if
him.
Don't come at you and question your character in that fashion. You do have a right to stand up and defend yourself by any means necessary. I don't really think that there's a wrong party here, but I do think that it's gone a bit too far, particularly with some of the personal stuff that LeBron James brought up, because there were certainly things on the basketball court that LeBron James could easily attack about Barkley, because Barkley doesn't have the basketball resume that LeBron has. LeBron did not have to go to that point. Now all bets are off.
Yeah, I thought he
we
could have
don't know
said
what the hell Barkley is going to say, and Barkley obviously could say a lot, particularly if he gets personal. LeBron may not know what Barkley knows about him. Very dangerous game.
Very dangerous.
My reaction is LeBron left Charles Barkley in flames. I mean, he left him in flames. And there's some kind of joy that people get, or glee that people take in the critic getting
crazy, Mad Max,
criticized in a way that just leaves them in flames. And so my initial reaction is like, oh, snap. You see what LeBron said about Barkley? Oh, he got him, he got him, he got him, he got him. Here's the difference. Charles Barkley, because he gives you the straight dope, even if you think he's a dope at times, he doesn't bite his tongue, is maybe the most popular critic
he wanted
on
to retire
TV,
a long time ago, but he
period.
can't. He's stuck
gets paid a lot of money to give you his opinion, the unvarnished truth as he sees it, precisely because he won't bite his tongue. Now, LeBron doesn't get paid to do that. Doesn't mean he can't offer his opinion on Charles Barkley or anything he chooses. And he makes valid points, in fact. But LeBron here is making ad hominem attacks, meaning he's attacking Charles Barkley
some crazy shit.
Because
like,
he doesn't like what
putting
Charles
him in
Barkley
the ring.
is saying. There's an expression. Don't murder the messenger.
He's
murdering the messenger. I don't know. And people, Shaq even does this with Barkley on the air sometimes. Shaq was a greater player than Barkley, more championships, etc. And sometimes Shaq, in the argument, whether Shaq is winning or losing, and those guys are amazing on TV together. It's an incredible show. But Shaq will sometimes just pull that trump card. He'll pull that card out and say, how many champions, basically, I've won championships, I'm a greater player.
Yeah, he said it in that interview we watched. He was like, you haven't won back-to-back championships.
We criticize these guys. I mean, the job of a critic in the media is to tell you what they see, is to look with a critical eye and tell you what they see. And their own background may be pointed out by the targets of their criticism at times to kind of undercut their credibility, but that doesn't change what they're saying. I would have been more convinced by LeBron's arguments if he would have gone at what the content of what Barkley said instead of impugning Barkley's character.
True.
Well, you got to remember something.
Because he didn't really say anything about what Barkley said. He was just saying, oh, who is he to be commenting about my game? You know what I mean? Didn't really say anything like, oh, what he's saying is wrong. I'm a great player. I mean, I'm sticking to my team, blah, 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 this and that, blah, blah, blah. What he's saying is, Barkley did this, Barkley did that, blah, blah, blah.
When he was talking to our very own Jeremy Schaap. He said, he was actually talking about black people in this regard. He said, I can understand you coming at me. He said, but somebody that shares my culture and my experiences, they should know better. Well, it's the same principle when you have a LeBron talking about Barkley. LeBron may not say that about a member of the media. He never has. But when you look at Barkley, he's like, wait a minute, you're a player. You played in this game. You tried to achieve what I have achieved. You wanted championships. I've gotten 3 of them. You went to 1 NBA Finals. I've been to 7 of them. I've got 4 league MVP honors. You have 1. Your resume doesn't compare to mine while you took up this challenge. Who the hell are you to say anything? LeBron is right about that. But it doesn't absolve LeBron from crossing the line that he crossed when he got so personal.
Why is LeBron right about that? Because when you give Barkley's resume, all that says he's more credible than the rest of us. When we talk about LeBron, is the only person who can criticize LeBron James Michael Jordan because he was better than LeBron? Kareem is the only guy who, along with Michael, can criticize LeBron?
That's not what I'm saying. Understand my point.
Yo, Max always likes to twist shit. I swear to God. But you hear what he said? Michael Jordan better than LeBron? What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that?
That's my only point.
Sometimes, when I've been critical of an athlete and they reach out or we talk about it, I sometimes refer them or send them the critic in the arena, the Teddy Roosevelt speech, where he talked about critics and how the man in the arena, it's called. And in fact, LeBron has cited the man in the arena.
Next year he's lost. His face, he's lost. He's looking at, where the fuck are you going with this, Max? Where you going?
One of the great presidents on Mount Rushmore. Forget about the critic.
Look at him, look at him, look at him.
Spends his life criticizing the deeds of others. It's the man in the arena, in the theater of action, basically.
He's like, you lost me. You lost me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Best effort actually in the doing. So you have to recognize that
Max loves the goal like left that way, like completely that way.
May resent.
Stephen A. Smith is like, what are you talking
the
about?
critic is a former athlete who himself should be more sympathetic to what the athlete is going through. But that's part of what makes Charles Barkley so interesting and so excellent on TV. He went through those experiences, and he tells you exactly how he sees it anyway. He doesn't hold back out of sympathy for anyone. He just tells you the truth as he sees it. That's what makes him a valuable critic on TV and entertaining.
Stephen
You're going to hear stuff you don't like if you're an athlete he's talking about sometimes.
But before we move on, I have a quick question for you. Does any part of you feel that LeBron now made it personal, that this could actually quiet Charles Barkley because he doesn't want it to continue to get more personal and get uglier?
No. No, it's Charles Barkley.
Not at all.
Okay.
Barkley is not going to be quiet. Barkley is going to have something to say. Barkley is not going to back down because at his core, Barkley believes he's right from the standpoint that all I'm talking about is basketball. I've said LeBron James is a great player. I said he's a champion. I said he's a great guy. But I criticized him about this basketball matter. And the thing about it is LeBron has every right to respond. But when you bring up Vegas, when you bring up the spitting incident, when you bring up throwing somebody through a glass window, when you bring up representing the NBA in such a way, that's where
below the belt,
it gets a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Because Barkley,
you don't know what Barkley knows about
not
you.
To go but so far.
You don't know
Remember,
what he
they're
got to
both
say
Nike
about
guys.
LeBron.
Lynn Murray, I mean, this guy is connected with Nike. Both of them love him dearly and what have you. For all we know, Barkley's just doing Barkley, and that's it. But because LeBron was so acerbic and got personal, it is now at the discretion of Charles Barkley to respond and reciprocate in any fashion that he likes, and that is where
it's an open ball game. It's an open ball game. Now LeBron just opened up the fucking game.
I don't think we can quite just say that all Barkley was doing was talking about basketball. Because one of the things that makes sports interesting, particularly on the level at which LeBron James plays, is there's something about it that makes us believe, I think for good reason, that it illuminates character. That in the moment of truth, what is this guy about? What is this athlete about? And when Barkley talks about being whiny or not being competitive, there's no way for LeBron not to take that in some way as I'm laying it all out there in front of everybody, kind of bearing my soul in the theater of competition. And when you discuss things like competitive spirit or me being whiny, how can I not take that personally? Because it speaks to my character. And I would say that's the cost of doing business. That's kind of a hazard of the occupation on LeBron James's level, is that people will, for good reason, take the outcome of the events. That includes what team you choose to play for and how you play in crunch time and all those things as revealing somehow your character. You're going to take that personally sometimes.
Okay, so that was it. Now, first of all, my opinion, I agree with Stephen A. LeBron James has all the right to reply to what Charles Barkley said. I don't doubt him for that. He could. Like, I have no arguments for that. However, Charles Barkley was only talking about LeBron James's basketball and what his current opinion on how LeBron James is reacting, how he's being in the NBA, and that's all he was talking about. Saying that he's whiny, I can't remember what else he said, but he said whiny. Everybody knows he's calling him whiny. and that he's not being does he want it too easy because he wants all the good players on his team. He doesn't want to compete. Now, I also agree with LeBron on why he got personal with Charles Barkley, because obviously when you call LeBron James, who is supposedly supposed to be the greatest player of all time, as some of you might say, when somebody says that you're not competitive and you know deep down in heart that you put 150% in each game, and somebody doesn't call you, who says that you're not competitive, you want everything too easy, blah blah blah, you're gonna take that personally. I would, because I know I every time I play a basketball game or do any kind of competition, I get really competitive. I'm a really competitive person. So when somebody says to me, "Oh, you're not trying hard," or if I even see somebody that's on my team that's not trying hard, I would get angry. Like, I take that shit personally. You know what I mean? So I can understand where LeBron James is coming from as a champion, as somebody who puts 100% in his game, in his career, to get to where he is today, and somebody just out of the blue call you somebody who's not competitive, and you know what their resume has is no match for what you've done in the NBA. You're thinking, who are you to be talking about me not being competitive, about me doing this, blah blah blah. And sometimes you get angry, and this is why I don't like to talk when I'm angry, because you say shit like what LeBron just said. You just pulled out every negative thing that Charles Barkley has done in his career and slapped him both sides of his face. Like, you gave him slap, 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 punch. You know what I mean? Punch. You know what I mean? So I can understand that. However, I still do think that LeBron James could have also just kept it to basketball, because there's a lot of things that Charles Barkley has done in his career that LeBron James could have came at him with. You know what I mean? He didn't have to go that personal, talking about depth and doing this, coming to games drunk and blah blah blah, whatever. You know what I mean? He didn't really have to go that low, but he did what he did, and now that gives Charles Barkley an open playing field. He came at me with that. Now I'm gonna come back in with what, this and that, blah blah blah. We all know Charles Barkley's got a big mouth, so it's gonna be interesting to see what he comes back at him with. So yeah, I mean, this is very interesting. It's getting dangerous for LeBron James right now, because he's kind of like, I wouldn't say he's ruining his career, but he could potentially go the wrong way with this. But anyway, that's enough from me. I said my piece. If y'all like this video, hit the like button. If y'all got something to say, hit in the comment section. Subscribe, because I do this all the time. See y'all in the next video, man. Peace out.